Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Malakote. I'm an anchor and a news reporter for Fox's KTVU Channel 2 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My guest is the CEO of InkFile. It's a company that helps people launch a small business. He's here to talk about some of the opportunities despite our new world we're in with COVID-19. Let's say hi to Mike Nunez. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we were talking prior to this. You're busy.
Yes. Yeah.
How busy are you?
We are to date, since inception of InkFile, we've incorporated over 250,000 businesses, and that's a pretty torrid pace. But it has been incredibly busy lately. People are looking to start new businesses left and right.
All right. Well, let's talk about InkFile out of the gate. Tell us what you do as a company.
Sure. So InkFile, if you think of starting a business, a lot of people get a little overwhelmed. They worry, all the paperwork, all the licenses, the tax preparation, things like that I need to handle. And it prevents them from starting a business. And it's our mission to make life easier for those entrepreneurs so they can not worry about all those types of things. We're a one-stop shop where they can find a tax preparer, open a bank account, get business credit cards, all the things that's not going to differentiate your business, but takes entrepreneurs time and allows you to focus on the things that make your business great.
Well, I read this on some of your website. Desperation can inspire inspiration. And I guess there's a lot of that going on. Maybe you can explain what people are doing, creating businesses in our crazy new world.
Yeah, I would love to. And let me first just say, I may sound like I'm saying that people should take advantage of the situation that we're in. Look, I know if you or I could snap our fingers and make COVID go away, we would do it in a second.
Sure.
But it's the reality that we're in, so we have to do the best with what we have, right? So that's what a lot of people are doing these days, and they're looking at it and saying, you know what? I've always wanted to start a business. I have those 2 extra hours that I used to use when I commuted to and from work. I'm going to use that to focus on my future and create a new business for me. Maybe you've always had a business idea and you just needed the time to do it. Now's the time. And then using the word time there as an example, a lot of people say like, oh, when's the perfect time to start? There's never a perfect time to start.
No, there's not. Just dive in.
Just do it. The secret to getting ahead is getting started.
And so why are people a little reticent about, well, yeah, I'm a great chef. I'm a great barbecuer. I am one of the best piano teachers to my kids, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're a knitter, for crying out loud, but taking that next step to commercialize it, maybe make a few dollars. Why are people afraid to contact you and just move forward?
Yeah, I think people are worried a little bit about costs, but they don't realize how inexpensive it is to actually create a business. But for example, on InkFile, you can incorporate for $0 plus the state fee. So whatever the state charges to create a corporation, you can incorporate for as little as that. And just to give you an example, the state of Oregon, as an example, is $100 to create a corporation. So with $100, you can make a business. So I think people just don't know that yet, and so they haven't gone to do it. And so that's step number one. Number two, I think they're a little afraid of a failure, but what people don't know is failure is the seeds to success, right? You have to start failing once or twice in order to get to that point where you are a successful entrepreneur.
Have some of the companies that you've been helping kind of made that pivot? They might be making something and then they discover, well, we can help out mankind here by making face masks or something that might help the community kind of get through this pandemic.
Sure. The suit that I'm wearing actually is made by a corporation that incorporated with InkFile. It's called Oliver Wick, and they started including face masks with every suit purchase, right, to help their customers actually protect themselves. So there's absolutely been some great pivoting. There's another company that I really like. It's beveragesdirect.com. They sell sodas online, and they've seen an incredible uptick in sales because of COVID-19. And it's because people want that taste of the old times when things were comfortable, or they want to have that root beer sampler night with their children and just have a good time at home. They're running out of things to do. So there's a lot of opportunity. All businesses that we're seeing that are online focused have seen a nice little uptick. So again, it's a really good time to start an online business.
Well, it's also a good idea to keep your brand in the public eye. And if you
Sure.
have to pivot in kind of a community way, helping mankind, I don't think people forget that once we get on the other side. Do you remember Brand X? They fed the firefighters, they did this, that kind of thing. I bet that's important too.
Yeah, there's a local restaurant. It's a Thai restaurant. I love one of the things they're doing. They can only do takeout as many restaurants around the nation. And they're offering what they're calling a pay it forward. Like you can contribute as much more than the cost of the meal as you want. And then they will take that and apply it to a pay it forward account. And then they will, for people who can't afford to eat right now, they'll actually use that pay it forward account to feed those people. So that's something that's, you know what, I didn't even realize that it was sticking in my head, Frank, until you just mentioned it. And there it is.
All right. Well, you talked about time a little bit, but it's such a precious commodity. And all of a sudden we have more time with our family, more time at home, more time to work in the yard, more time to work on maybe a hobby that might turn into something profitable. Talk about the first few steps that an entrepreneur might have to do if they've got something that, others might like to buy someday.
Yeah. So time is one of them. And what you're saying is such a good example. I always tell people, whenever we have a change like this, the time is going to get filled. Either you're going to fill it with sleeping, you're going to fill it with exercising, you're going to fill it with eating, you're going to fill it with something. It's up to you to choose what you're going to fill that time with. And if you want to, you can choose to fill that time with creating a business for yourself and creating a new future for yourself. So that's number one. It's that choice, that decision that I'm going to use this newfound time. And again, I want to be sensitive to those parents out there that they're like, Mike, where's this time?
I'm teaching my kid. I'm working from home. I've got,
yeah. I get it.
But like you said, there's never the perfect time. Something's always going to kind of get in the way. Life happens, so you might as well, take the time.
100%. So that decision is number one. Number two, I would say is you have to really think about your product or service, whatever it is that you're going to do. What is different or better about what you are offering than what one of your competitors are? And if you can't say that out loud, if you can't articulate what your value proposition is, you're going to have a hard time making sales. So really think long and hard about it. Then once you think you have that differentiator, that thing that makes your product better, now actually try to sell it even before you make it. You can go to your neighbors, your friends, or whoever that you think, or other businesses, and say, hey, would you buy this? And if they say, yeah, I would buy that. Well, there's a big difference between saying that you'll buy something and dollars actually exchanging hands. So say, great, I would love a deposit on this, and see how often you actually get those physical dollars changing hands. And if you do, now you're really on to something.
I know the Lagunitas Beer Company. I've done a few stories with them up in Northern California here. And the owner started brewing beer in his apartment in the city of Lagunitas. And his wife said, it's either me or the beer. You got to get this at her. And he said, well, I think I'm a beer maker, honey. And he moved out, got a bigger thing. And now, of course, Heineken bought him. But he started out just small, putting his beer in little restaurants. People said, hey, this is pretty good, this is good. And before you know it, it was all over Northern California. But things start small, but if it's the right product, it'll explode, right?
100%. And two comments on that. Number one, you make a great point. Your chances of success go way up if you have a supportive significant other, right? If you have somebody behind you that's rooting for you. So I would highly encourage you to figure out a way to communicate that. Explain, hey, my job is not secure, right? A lot of people, they stay working at other company because they think that it's more secure. Well, if you're the boss, if you're the owner, you're not firing yourself, right? So there's a lot of security in being your own boss and being an entrepreneur. So explain that to your significant other and get the buy-in, and then work together to make that happen.
Yeah, more importantly, make her part of the, or he part of the company, do it together.
100%. And I guarantee you that two minds are greater than one when it comes to that.
Especially when you're married. um,
Yeah.
I read about Damian Lee. Here's a guy that got diagnosed with cancer. Loved ramen noodles, but didn't want top ramen or some of the cheaper versions of it. He wanted a healthy version of it. So while he was fighting cancer, developed a healthy ramen noodle, and the guy's making all kinds of money now. So there's an example of a guy that took a negative COVID-19, what we're in right now, and turned it into a positive.
I love stories like that. It just touches me, and it inspires me. Like you think, here's somebody who's already facing an uphill battle, and they're adding on to that and winning, right? And you hear about athletes that are missing limbs but are running triathlons.
Right.
It's inspiring, and use it as such. And one of the quote unquote reasons why that people aren't doing things like right now is like, well, there's a lot of unemployment. There's potentially not as many people spending money. They don't know that during the 2008-2009 global financial crisis, one of the worst times financially in the world, Airbnb and Uber started, and those are two of the largest brands that you might hear today. And then they might say, well, I don't know if starting a business from my home is the right answer. Well, you've already mentioned Lagunitas, which I'm a fan.
Sure.
There's Dell, YouTube, Apple have started
in a garage.
In a garage. So,
right.
And then the next reason might be, well, I don't know if I could ever make a company that big. You don't have to. All you have to do is make a great life for yourself. There's many things called lifestyle businesses where you can have that true work-life balance because you're the owner and you're the one that's dictating those hours.
Exactly. If it's yours, you can work when you want. And if it's supplementing another income in the family, then God bless to that. What if there's a few people that are on the fence out there? Why should they give you a call and say, hey, we need some help, Mike?
Sure. Well, number one, we could save them a lot of money. Like there's not much less expensive than $0. So, and it'll save them a lot of time. Plus, we've done a fantastic job of curating some of the best offers across the internet. So, for example, we have particular credit cards that we recommend. One of my favorite is the Capital One Cash Back card, which pays 2% cash back. And what some people don't know is that cash back is actually considered a discount, not as revenue. So it's a tax-free 2% cash back. So if you're spending, I don't know, $100,000 on a credit card on a monthly basis, that's a lot of money. I don't know that. Don't think I don't know that. But that's $2,000 a month. That adds up to $24,000 a year. That acts as if it was actually $40,000 or $50,000 a year because it's tax-free. So that's one really simple tip that coming to InkFile, we're going to help you realize.
I know you're in Puerto Rico. We haven't heard much about Puerto Rico in terms of COVID-19. Tell us how things are on that beautiful island nation and how things are going there.
Sure. So yeah, I'm based here in Puerto Rico, but our headquarters are in Houston, Texas. As far as COVID-19 here, they've been extremely strict. We went onto lockdown March 8th, I think it was. So 1 or 2 weeks earlier than many others did. But it has worked. So I'm very thankful for that. We've had less than 2,000 cases, less than 100 deaths to this point that I'm aware of. Mm-hmm. And so they've done a really good job when it comes to that overall. So I'm thankful to the local governments for that.
I imagine the island's going to be hurt now because tourism's such a big part of that. With the summer coming, the hotels closed until further notice. That's got to be difficult.
Yeah, if I could ask, I am of Puerto Rican descent, and Puerto Rico is part of the United States. You don't have to have a passport to come here. The dollar works, your cell phone will work. So if I could make a plea for my fellow Puerto Ricans here to please come out and visit Puerto Rico when it comes up. It's a beautiful island.
Yeah, well, it's gorgeous down there. Tell us how we can get in touch with your company, Mike, if we want to start a business or want more information.
Best thing to do is just go to inkfile.com. That's INCFILE.com. And it's as easy as that. In about 15 minutes, you can have your own company.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Mike Nunez with InkFile. He's in Puerto Rico, but the company's based in Orlando. Hey, Mike, thanks a lot. And we wish you all the best.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. I'm Frank Malico with KTVU Fox 2 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Remember, if you want more information, you can always go to coronavirusnow.com.